Hello, Mr. Bobby Massi. This is
Hi, George. How you doing?
good. Good. How are you, my friend? It's nice to hear your voice.
Yeah.
I guess we had made arrangements with Mr. Proteka that it'd be okay to call you for a brief interview that I could use on my YouTube channel.
Do I what?
No, it would be okay for a brief interview with you so that I could use on my YouTube channel.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I guess before we begin, Bobby, I want to express my deepest condolences on the passing of your mother, Margaret.
Oh, thank you.
I am so sorry. I remember the last time we spoke, you had, mentioned that, she wasn't doing too well. And believe you me, I know what that's like. My mother has since passed, and that's a tough one.
Yeah. She made it to 91. It's I was with her 2 days before she passed, and she was gasping for breathing, and I knew it was going to be soon.
Yeah.
I knew it was only going to be a day or two. I stayed up there for 5 hours.
Wow.
And I said, this might be the last, because I knew it was a matter of a day or two.
Right. How's the rest of the
dad now?
Yes. They're both together. What? Almost 22 years later, right? Your dad passed on Christmas Eve of 2020.
Yeah.
No. 2000. I'm sorry.
2000. Yeah, 22 years.
Yeah. Wow. Jesus Christ.
Mm-hmm.
You're the oldest of the siblings, or your sister older than you?
I'm the oldest.
Oh, okay. And
I'm the one that used to go to all the shows when Dad was with the season.
Yeah, and that's what I want to talk to you about. I'm really excited for this interview. I mean, I'm not a journalist, writer, or anything like that. This is just all, I guess, as they say, off the cuff.
Your hobby.
Yeah. I am a huge fan.
I take it.
Oh, Bobby, you have no idea. Huge fan since I was 12, and that's been many years ago. But
I remember more.
Yeah, exactly.
I was there on all the shows.
Yeah.
And,
Wow.
I saw Jimmy today, and I gave him a program from Four Seasons, movies, TV,
Yes.
and everything, where they got all the photos and everything in it.
Yes. He
recording and everything.
Yeah, he called me about that earlier. I'm gonna see if I could get a hold of that piece. Yeah,
Check
no.
with him, and he's got it.
Yeah. I'll tell you that James is a heck of a guy. I feel so privileged being able to talk to James, who has led me to you, and I am I'm honored, Bobby. I'm honored.
Oh, thank you.
You have no idea.
He's a real nice guy and everything, and
Well,
Jimmy's good people.
yeah, no, he is. And Bobby, if you're ever out in California, please look me up. Please, it would.
What part of California you at?
I'm in. Do you ever come out this way? Have you ever been out to California?
Yeah, I went to training camp with the hockey team there.
Oh, okay. Oh, so then you're the one that played hockey.
Yeah, I played ice hockey. Yeah, and then when I got when I was done playing professional, I got married in '78, and I went cross country, and I went to. I was in San Francisco. I played in the Pacific League there, and in LA.
Okay.
So,
wow.
But it was brief, it was time to hang the skates up by then.
Yeah. I was fortunate to purchase a few programs from James where you've been on a few radio stations with some of the other children of the Four Seasons, Gaudio's daughters, and boy, those are some great radio shows. Really great.
Joe Reynolds and
Yes.
Bob O'Brien with
Yes.
Eddie Smith.
Yes, yes. Really, really nice. Well.
You're the one, George, that put the program from James, right?
Oh yes, I'm the one that. Yes.
Yeah, I heard your voice. Now I can hear that.
Yes.
I watched it on the YouTube channel.
Yes. In fact.
You even said my name. Huh?
Yes. Oh, of course. I have to give you the proper recognition.
Yeah.
But anyway, let me tell you what happened to that program.
Okay.
About a month after, I went to a Four Seasons concert, Frankie Valli and the Four Seasons, which is just Frankie Valli, and the band's name is now the Four Seasons. And I had the pleasure of meeting Robbie Robinson, who I've met before. And he
keyboard player, right?
Yes. And he was able to get Frankie Valli to autograph that for me.
I know. You still got it, or did you sell it?
Oh no, I'm not. No. I'm not selling that. Oh,
okay.
Never. Come on, Bobby. No, knowing that program came from your dad, on the nights they performed at the Copa back in '64. I will never part with that.
Never.
Never.
It was earlier than 64. 64, it was like 63 or 2.
Oh, okay.
That program was from 62, I think.
Yes.
For Sherry, they were, they did the Copa first, and then I think it was only the only night.
Okay, yeah.
Programs, and that was it.
Right. Well, Bobby, again.
One of a kind.
Yeah. Oh, yes. No.
If Frankie signed it, that makes it more valuable for you.
Well, I just thought it was nice Robbie Robinson is such a true gentleman. I mean, he gave me the time of day. We chatted. I'm a big fan of his Jam and Java show that comes on every Monday. And yeah, and it was just I even told him where I received that program from, and he said that he knows you.
Yeah.
Oh my God! Wow.
I saw him last July, and Frankie was late for rehearsal, and with the mics and getting the sound check up in Atlantic City.
Wow.
And, we talked for a little bit, and he's a nice guy.
Oh, he's.
I don't know him real well, but he says, "Oh, you look just like your father," and everything like that. And I said, "Yeah."
Bobby, looking at you is just like looking at your dad. You are a spitting image of him.
Oh, a lot of my people in town call me Nick. And I said, "I'm Bob."
Yeah,
I'm Bob.
and you even have the same tone of voice. Same thing. But anyway, can I ask you a few questions, Bobby?
Sure, go ahead.
Okay, I just want to ask you. Look,
You can call me anytime. I don't care. I'm retired.
Okay, Bobby, I really appreciate it, and this conversation with you really makes my day, if not my year. Bobby, your dad, Nick Massi, was in the Four Seasons band back in 62, 3, 4, and 5. The Four Seasons happened to be 62 and 3 and 4, the biggest American band at the time. I will also say bigger than the Beach Boys, considering their #1 chart records of Sherry, Big Girls Don't Cry, and Walk Like a Man, who all three remained at #1 for, I believe, well over 12 weeks. The Beach Boys have never had a #1 single, over a week or two at the #1 position. But just knowing your dad was in the biggest American band at the time, how did you feel about that? And you were what, 12, 13 years old at the time?
I'm sorry, I was 12.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah.
I was born in 1950.
Okay, so you were 12, 13 years old. How did you feel about your dad being in the Four Seasons at that time?
Oh, I was so proud of him, George, and you know, he's been playing guitars and singing, and he led me to a song when I was only 8 years old called Michelle, and they recorded that and made a record, but at the time they didn't have no money to put it through, you know, because it was a project for four.
Yeah, Bobby, you sound a little muffled right now. I don't know if maybe the phone may have. There you go. Yeah, I think you sound better now.
Okay.
Yeah, there you go. And anyway, so how did you feel about your dad, Nick Massi, being in the biggest band at the time?
Oh, I was so proud, and like when I was on Bob O'Brien's show, they told me, you know, when did you think your father was going to have a number one song? And I told him, I said, my father told me in a week it was the Cherry was going to be number one.
This is a local.
When he was the rehearsal and everything, and a week after they recorded that song, and they pressed it on the radio.
Yeah, yes.
It was a number one in 10 days.
You know what? That song, I believe, moved up 4 times, the 4th time being the number one position, September 15th of 1962, and remaining there for 5 straight weeks.
Right,
5 straight weeks. Now, as Sherry was coming down the charts, Big Girls Don't Cry was coming up the charts, reaching number one November 17th, 1962, which happens to be the birthday of Bob Gaudio. And that song stayed there for 5 straight weeks.
Yeah. And then Walk Like a Man, that was up there too in the top 5.
Yes. And in all in all the album covers, your dad, Nick Massi, is credited as handling all the vocal arrangements. His name is on every single album.
And on the album, he did all the dress code.
Yes.
What you saw them wear, like on the Big Girls Don't Cry album,
yes.
They had all the blue suits.
Yes, the blue suits and the blue ties. Yes.
Frankie the one who wear the blue suits. He goes down there, guys. He goes, we're wearing them.
Wow.
Because Frankie always bickered with my father. You know, my father shut him right up.
Yeah, well, you know what? I just recently heard an older interview with Tommy DeVito, and Tommy DeVito mentioned how your dad was in charge of what the group was to wear. He laid out the suits, the patterns, and the colors.
Yep, everything. And wanted it his way. He was the boss.
Yes.
He did the arranging. He taught the vocals.
Yes.
He taught them the parts and the piano. They used to come to my house and he would tell them what key they were going to be in.
Right.
And without my dad, they were nowhere.
Well,
I mean, Bob Gaudio wrote good songs, but my father's bass mind.
Well,
it seems over the hill.
Right. Well, you know what? It seems like it was a type of band where every member was just as important as the next. Frankie Valli has referred to your dad as a musical genius. Frankie Valli has said this in interviews.
Yeah. He was on what he called the show, Michael Kay that does the sports.
Right.
He interviews all important people, like he did Mike Tyson and all that.
Yes.
Michael Kay.
Yes.
And, he asked Frankie, how was it with the late Nick Massi? They did an interview for an hour, and they talked about my father on the Michael Kay show.
Wow, that is. I would love to hear that. I
think you can get that if you write into Michael Kay in New York or something. I don't know how to do that. Jimmy knows how to do that.
Yeah. If not, I'll talk to James, or else I'll try to figure it out. But I like to go through James, and I'll just see maybe he could lead me that way. But my next question, in an older interview with Bob Gaudio, probably 10, 12 years ago, a question was put to Bob Gaudio as far as who was more of an important member in the band. And Bob Gaudio told the person that was interviewing him that I don't think you can pick and pull. It was a matter of all four of them combined, that the success of that band could not be pinpointed to just one individual, but the four of them. I mean,
my father made that. Because without him, when my father left, no more number one songs, no more four seasons.
Well, I'll tell you what.
So you get the picture?
No, Bobby, I understand. After your father left, and I'm going to get to that in a second here, but yeah, after Big Girls Don't Cry, they went on early 63, Walk Like a Man, #1 for 2 weeks. Another chart topper. I find it interesting that here you have an American band with #1 hit after #1 hit. And then it seems like after 63, 64, the music industry changed where the Beach Boys were getting a lot of attention. The Beatles, of course. I mean, the Beatles are a very good band, great band,
But it wasn't just the Beatles. The England invasion.
Yes, right.
The Kinks and the Rolling Stones, they came in 64 too.
Right. I also heard in an interview that Bob Gaudio, they were in England at the time when the Beatles had released Please Please Me over there, and Bob Gaudio is the one that brought the Beatles to the attention of VJ Records. And it was VJ Records who then released some of the earlier hits of the Beatles. And the Four Seasons at the time had considered re-recording the song Please Please Me. But as Bob Gaudio stated, they chose not to because they had Walk Like a Man in the Can, which of course was not a bad choice because that was their third #1 record.
Yeah. And did you ever talk to Bob Gaudio?
You know what, Bobby? I have never spoken to Bob Gaudio, and that is probably my another dream come true. I would love to meet him someday. To me, let me tell you something about Bob Gaudio. My opinion of Bob Gaudio is he is one of the most talented and creative songwriters. And I want to say of all time, especially during this period, 60s and 70s, you hear a lot about Brian Wilson, who I am a great admirer of Brian Wilson. But Brian Wilson did not have the chart success that Bob Gaudio had.
No, the Four Seasons almost sold 200 million records.
Up to date, yes. And from 62 to the late 60s, it was well on its way to 50, 60 million records, only up to that point. Now, the Four Seasons went on to have a number of hits after Walk Like a Man. I mean, they were battling it out with the Beatles, with Don't Go Away. Don't Go Away stuck at #2 or 3, as Bob Gaudio states, could not go up or down because they were sandwiched in between the Beatles. And then after that, there was Stay at #16. Then I believe Ronnie came out. And well, I believe you had Stay was released on VJ, but the Four Seasons had already been signed to Philips.
Another song. I think I got it in the drawer. I got a lot of 45s in the drawer, but Stay is a flip side. That wasn't the...
I believe Stay was the flip side of Goodnight, My Love. I believe.
Okay.
Yeah. Anyway.
But the biggest hit that stayed #1 was Ragdoll.
Oh God, and that's where I was going. Ragdoll in the summer of '64, another #1, 2 weeks at #1, again, with your dad being involved with the vocal arrangements and with the band itself.
That's what Frankie told my father. It's too slow. I don't think it's going to work. And my father said, shut up and go in the echo chamber. And then put his bass lines through his headphones, and he fell in love with the song.
Now, from what I understand, from what I've read, that is your dad's favorite song, Ragdoll. Am I correct?
Too.
Yeah.
Because my father told me, he goes, Frankie told me it was going to be too slow. And I think it was #1 for 13 weeks.
Well, I believe it may have been a total of on the charts for 13 weeks, but I believe it sat at #1 for a good 2 weeks. Maybe more in some areas of the country, but that was a huge hit.
I mean,
Yes. Oh, okay, yeah. Yes. And from what I understand, the Four Seasons were huge on the East Coast versus on the West Coast, which they were still popular, but they were huge on the East Coast. Now,
you know what, Bob Gordillo told me?
what's that, Bobby?
And my dad, when they went to England,
Yes.
there was lines that went almost a mile and a half long to see the Four Seasons.
Yes. Now, they went to England / the UK back in the springtime of '63.
Right.
And then I believe they didn't go back there till 70, 71. But that was a
My
big...
father was gone then. He left in
Yes.
66.
Was it 66 or 65? Because that's where my next...
65.
Okay. Now, let me ask you something, Bobby, and whatever you want to share, and, we don't have to get into too much of the dark side of things. Yeah. Why did Nick Massi leave the Four Seasons? Again, one of America's biggest bands at the time.
Because the two Chumley.
Well,
Yeah, that was
between you and I,
Yes.
uh,
Well, between you and I, but again, I am going to post a
Tommy
recording.
was blowing all my father's money.
I'm
that
sorry.
My father was supposed to be getting.
I'm sorry.
Tommy DeVito was a heavy gambler. He would say to my father, Nick, I screwed up the money again.
This is the guy
And
that's saying
that was part of it.
Yeah.
The part my father didn't want to travel now. He
Yeah.
wanted to be home.
And you know what? It's funny that you mentioned that. Well, not really funny, but it's a coincidence. Right now, I'm in the middle of reading a book put out by Duke, one of the Four Tops original members. And he did the same thing to the Four Tops one time. He went and gambled all their money away that he owed to the band members and the group, which he in the end took care of it. But so that happened with them also. So then your dad leaves in 1965. Nick Massi leaves in 65, right after Ragdoll, Bye Bye Baby. Now, before Let's Hang On, had he already left?
Don't forget.
No, he was still with Let's Hang On.
Oh, okay, because that was also a huge hit for the Four Seasons, reaching the #3 chart position. So once your dad left or retired from the band, how did you feel about that? You were what, 14, 15 at the time. How did you feel?
Oh, well, I said that, yeah, go. I said, why don't you continue, the success? I says, you're leaving when he goes, I'm tired of traveling, and Tommy's blowing all the money. Tommy was a bad, when I was 13, we had all the gold records on an old piece and the plaques.
Right.
And Tommy and Frankie and Bobby came over to my house and to talk to my father because they had to talk about the traveling thing. And they were going to Europe. And then Tommy said to my mother, Marge, take a picture of Bobby in front of all the plaques because he's going to be a millionaire someday.
Wow.
And then my father says, "Yeah, you keep blowing me."
Let me ask you, Bobby. I've also heard that a lot of what contributed to your father, Nick Massi, leaving the band was a lot of the traveling that he had tired of the traveling.
Sounds like a kid scene.
Yeah, that's part of it. But
Yeah, but the rest had to do with other personal matters, correct?
yeah, that and not they were giving my Tommy says I'm in charge of my Nick's in charge of getting the group together.
Right.
I'll be in charge of who's the money situation.
Yeah. Well,
and the money he was giving my mother checks like every second or third month, like 20,000.
right.
It was never a lump sum of big money to
Right.
to live off of. He was
Right.
he was giving money, so just so my mother had to sell the house.
Let me get back where I was going, Bobby. After your dad left the Four Seasons in 1965, did he have any regrets?
No, he didn't have no regrets because he did what he had to do, and
They write their phone number on the album.
He was. Yeah, he was.
It's like you working for somebody and them not
You're right.
underpaying you, and you don't want to stay there.
Yeah, so I guess what you're saying is how could he have regrets or miss it if what you're telling me he wasn't being paid, right?
No.
Right.
He wasn't getting paid the money he should have been getting.
Yeah. Frankie Valli has expressed in an interview I heard recently that I'll be posting on my channel also that your father Nick Massi felt that if I'm singing, if I'm producing, singing, why can't I just get paid for that? Your dad did not want to deal with the lawyers, with the accounts. He didn't want to get involved in any of that. He just wanted to get paid. But anyway, look at moving on. Okay, so your dad leaves in 65 and Joe Long comes around and I guess joins in late 65, early 66. And you did mention that the Four Seasons did not have another number one record till later on, years later. But did your dad share with you just anything regarding how he felt about the band years later? Because he did record in the early 70s with Frankie Valli, Bob Gaudio, and Bob Crew, I believe on some of the Hickory sessions and some of the early Motown recordings.
Well, I know Frankie Valli was playing up at South Mountain Arena in West Orange, New Jersey.
Mm-hmm.
And it's an arena where they have all the tunnels where you go out with the hockey players.
Right.
So he when they were doing the sound thing, he called my father up, and he said, "Nick, can you help me with the sound tonight? I'll pay you."
Wow.
So Frankie gave him $200, and my father did the sound, with the console in the center on the at the arena there.
Right. Now this must have
He
been
got the right sound for them, and they
right.
Now this gave my father a check, right? My father got dropped off. Frankie gave my father a check.
Your dad did it. This must have been around 1980 because I've seen pictures of your dad on stage with Frankie Valli somewhere around 79, 80, 81.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Well, again, and I'm going to jump a few years forward here. You don't remember too much about when your dad worked with the Four Seasons in the early 70s. Am I correct, or do you remember anything about that?
No, he didn't work with them in the 70s.
Well, about 72 and 3 with interviews I've heard with Bob Crew and Frankie Valli, Nick Massi did sing on some of those early 70 Motown recordings. I'm not sure if you're aware of that or not.
No, there's no such thing.
Okay.
I live with my father. I know.
Okay.
That's false. Because when my father left, he was gone.
He was gone. Okay.
I remember the first time when they were on the Ed Sullivan show.
Yes.
In 1962.
Yes.
they always ask my father for favors. Bob Gordio says my hair's too long, I look like hell. He was probably out drinking that night, and he called my father up on Sunday at 9:30. I woke him up, and I said, Bob's on the phone. And my father got up, answered the phone, and he says, get dressed, we're going to go down to his castle. You know, he lived in a castle.
Yes,
He
yes.
had a castle, and we didn't have nothing. So anyway, I jumped in the car with him. I was like 12 years old, and we go down, and they're going on the Ed Sullivan show. I didn't go that night. And, he told my father he wanted his haircut.
Yeah.
Because it was all out of, you know, he couldn't do nothing with it. And they were going on the Ed Sullivan show.
Yeah.
You know, they always ask my father for favors. My father never do favors for them.
Yeah, Bobby, can you hang on 1 second?
Good.
Yeah. Hey. Okay, I'm recording again now. Okay. Now, I remember Bob Gordio buying that castle in the late 60s, but you had mentioned when I first called you about a half hour ago, did you go on any tours with your dad and the Four Seasons?
No, just, I was too young.
Okay.
I was in school. I didn't go on the York tour. They went for a whole month or something.
Right. Yeah.
But I used to go to the Jersey Shore, you know, when they played in Atlantic City and Point Pleasant, and
How
you
did
know, be there for the weekends and stuff, and you know, I was on the Rudy Valli show 3 times.
Wow,
Rudy,
yeah.
Remember Rudy Valli?
Yes, he used to have a show and they were on it.
Valley show.
Yeah. Now let me ask you something.
On Broadway Tonight.
Right, on Broadway Tonight, which also came out on the Ragdoll album. Oh, I love that. Yes.
Yeah, I met Rudy Valli. I met, remember Tracy Guggenheim on the Jackie Gleason show?
You know what? I don't.
Remember Jackie Gleason?
Yes, Jackie.
Remember Crazy Guggenheim used to sing the songs?
Oh, yes.
And you know, Fontaine, what was his name? Fontaine,
I'm sorry, Bobby, I don't remember the first name. But let me ask you.
17 kids.
Oh gosh.
Yeah, Crazy Guggenheim, the one that played, what was this Fontaine? Forget his first name. I'm sorry, George.
No, Bobby, don't worry about it. But let me get to my next question. Did your friends, your classmates, did they know who your dad was?
Oh, I had kids that were fighting each other to say, I'm going with Bob, I'm going with Bob.
Really?
I said, I can't take his all.
Yeah.
You know,
Boy, I bet.
wanted to go to.
Yeah.
I got maybe eight seats, and then they took, you know, some of my close friends and stuff. Right. But everybody wanted to go in.
Oh, I'm sure. But look at Bobby. Let me move up a few years, quite a few years. Just a couple questions now. Your dad again leaves a band, and years pass on. The Four Seasons make a huge comeback in the 70s, referred to as one of the greatest comebacks, even though Frankie Valli does not like that name, comeback, because like he says, when you're touring and making money, you know, you're still here. But anyway, they make one of the greatest comebacks by any group, again, with #1 hit records. My Eyes Adored You, December 63, Who Loves You at number 3, Grease at #1, Sworn to God.
That was
Yes.
Four Seasons.
Yes. This was years after your dad had left. But after...
Yeah, but the other 3 weren't there. The other 2 weren't there either.
No. Joe Long, I believe, retired from the group in 74, 75. Bob Gordio had retired he left the band in 71, 72, but then he went on as producer and writer. But years forward now, with the play Jersey Boys, how did your family feel about that play and your dad getting the recognition that he deserved?
Well, I'm a little bitter with the situation with Jersey Boys, and I was supposed to get a lawyer, but I couldn't afford it.
Oh, okay.
I wanted $5,000 up front, because Tommy DeVito came up to me when my father was dying, and he just got out of the hospital. They opened him up like a suitcase in his belly, took 90% of his liver.
Right.
And Tommy came to see him in the hospital, and then Tommy came to his apartment, and he said, "Marge and kids, I gotta talk to you." So when we left my father's apartment,
Oh, I love the movie.
he got us outside. He said, "Marge, here's the story. Frankie don't
Mine was, it's really too bad. Your dad had already passed 4 or 5 years prior to Jersey Boys. But were you in the family? I believe your family was paid for something. I'm not sure. I don't know all the details about that. But were you glad that the Four Seasons story had hit the Broadway stage and became as big as it did?
My mother's I think there's about $5 million in the will that's going to be ready in 4 months. So
Right. Okay.
I'm glad Tommy said what he said.
Yeah.
He paid his 5% because Frankie's brother and I saw Frankie last July. They got me tickets to bring my girlfriend and her kids to see him perform.
Yeah. When I saw Frankie Valli, I saw Frankie perform this past summer here in Orange County, and I was first row, and I saw him singing. I know the backup band, they do carry some of the higher notes, but again, I guess your family was pretty excited knowing that the Four Seasons story was finally going to be told. Am I correct in saying that?
Oh yeah, my sister went 4 times. My brother went 3 times or 4 times. I went twice. My kids went. My sister took them, and I have a friend that saw him show about 25 times. He keeps bringing different dates. Different people to go see it. It's really the kids do a good show.
No, I was really happy that finally, Nick Massi, Tommy DeVito, I know Joe Long wasn't mentioned too much in that play, Bob Gaudio and Frankie Valli. Again, me being a huge fan of theirs, I'm glad that their life, their story made it to the main stage. Let me back up. I just want to ask you just one or two more questions, and then we'll go to end this. I don't want to take too much of your time. When your dad and the rest of the band members were inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, how did your dad feel about that in 1990? Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
At my mother's house.
Oh.
My father was living.
Okay.
And I got the phone call from a radio guy from New York. I forget his name, and he says, "Is Nick Massi there?" I says, "Who's speaking?" He goes, "This is such and so." He goes, "I just wanted to tell Nick Massi that he just got inducted to the Hall of Fame." And I said, "Hold on, I'll get my father." So I went downstairs and I got my father, and he talked for about 15 minutes to the guy on the phone. And he was only allowed to have one ticket. It was at the Waldorf Astoria in New York.
Yes.
And it cost $1,700 a ticket. So
oh, wow.
My father says, my mom didn't want to go, so my youngest brother that never went on TV shows, he went.
Nicky Jr., right?
Nicky.
Oh, okay. But boy, that is something else for your dad. Nick Massi, Tommy DeVito, Frankie Valli, Bob Gaudio, 4 guys from the streets of New Jersey to make it all the way to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. And then after that, to have one of the biggest plays to ever hit Broadway, Jersey Boys. But look, Bobby, I really want to thank you for your time in allowing me to record this and put it on my YouTube channel. I think there's going to be a lot of people out there that are going to be excited to hear from you. I just want to thank you, Bobby, for this time. Do you have any closing comments?
Well, you know, I only speak from the heart, so when I put Frankie, it was better.
Yeah, and
They were the best.
yeah, they were the best again.
Then when they came out with that album, the Beatles versus the Four Seasons.
Oh my God.
The Beatles were great, but
Yeah.
they can't compare with the Four Seasons. They couldn't compare.
You know what?
Because,
Go ahead, Bobby. I'm sorry.
because Frankie alone sounds better than the whole group. My father and Frankie, and you know, when they got together, they made 5 albums, 5 albums, and 7 albums, 9 albums in the 4 years my father was there.
Right. No. Several albums, and several of those albums reaching the top 10, number 6, 5, what have you. And again, the sound that the Four Seasons had, it was such a tough street sound. Their voices, Frankie's voice, the sound of his voice, the highs, the lows, the mid ranges, your dad's bass voice. I mean, Bobby and Tommy DeVito in the background. I mean, my God, it was just a sound that to this day, I don't think any band has ever come close to the way they sounded.
Those 4, that's the longest. My father played music all his life.
Right.
And that was, you know, for him to be in band for 4 years, that, you know, he had enough, you know.
Right.
But when he did in 4 years, he pressed out everything to make you know, make his family proud.
Correct. And I'm sure he did. And you know what? I am so glad with Jersey Boys coming out when it did, because prior to that, it was really hard to gather any information on the Four Seasons. And once Jersey Boys came out, there was just a wealth of information, interviews out there, and as a fan, I am so glad.
They had the biggest party I ever was at after the opening night back in 2004.
Right.
I think it was 2004, because my father was dead already by 4 years.
4 years, yes.
It was 2004, I think, or 5.
Yeah.
When the first show came out.
Yeah.
They had the afterwards party. The people just loved the show. They still stood, you know, for those kids that were trained how to sing like the Seasons.
Oh yeah, no, like.
And I met the originals.
Wow.
Kids that were trained. Robert Lawrence that played my father.
Right.
They had at the Hilton, they had a special party on the 17th floor.
Wow.
And they had everything from steaks to White Castle.
Wow.
They had every food you could think of: shrimp, lobster. They had 2 bands in 2 separate rooms.
It was a feast, right?
And that's the last time I talked to Bob Cordio.
Wow.
And he hugged me and everything, but I never said why did
See you tomorrow, here.
Right. Regarding the money situation.
Yeah.
But look at Bobby. I want to thank you very much for your time, and I just want to say, for whatever it's worth, you and I have one thing in common. Your dad passed away on Christmas Eve, and my mom and my own mother passed away on Christmas Eve too, back in 2016.
Oh,
yeah.
So mom probably died 4 years after.
Yes. But
I'll see you, you know.
on Christmas Eve, right?
I'll think of your mom.
Yeah.
Your mom?
Yes.
Died on Christmas Eve too?
Yes. My mom died on Christmas
I'll
Eve.
think of you, and I'll say a prayer,
And Bobby, back at you, okay? Always. Every time Christmas Eve comes around, I was always thinking about Nick, and I think about my mom. We'll think about the both of them, okay?
Okay, then, whenever you feel like.
We'll see you tomorrow, Yvette. Have a good one.
Call me.
Don't forget, you're gonna order lunch, okay?
Bobby. And again, I express my condolences on the passing of your mom, Margaret. That was very sad news. And may you.
How do you say your last name?
Oh,
This is the
Perez.
guy that
Perez.
dead skunk in the middle
Perez?
of the road.
Yes, Perez.
Perez.
Z. Yes, Z as in zebra.
Oh, Perez.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you, George. Call me when you want to talk some.
Okay. Bobby, I really appreciate your time.
I got
You got what?
the tape when they got inducted to the Hall of Fame.
Okay.
When they got I got the cassette.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
No, I got the CD.
Okay.
They got inducted with the Kinks.
I believe and the four tops and the four tops.
Yeah.
Yes. I bet that was quite an evening. But look at Bobby. Thank you very much.
My brother went.
Oh, okay.
Because I remember I told you to
Right, the
$1,500.
Yeah.
I said to my father, "Can I go?" He goes,
Well, not right now. Bobby, thank you very much for your time. It has been an honor to talk to you, to ask you these questions, and God bless you and your family, and I wish you all a very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year, okay?
You too, George.
Okay, take care, Bobby, okay?
Okay, nice talking to you.
Okay, bye now.
And I'll say a prayer for your mom.
And likewise, and one for your father, of course, Bobby. Take care, all right?
All right, George.
Okay, bye now.
Nice talking to you.
Likewise, Bobby. Thank you.
Okay, bye.
Bye. What you just heard is a phone interview that I had the privilege of making about 2.5 weeks ago, with the son of Nick Massi, Bobby Massi, who was so kind to spend some time with me and discuss what he remembers of his father, Mr. Nick Massi, being in the band The Four Seasons. Nick Massi was with the Four Seasons from 1962 through late 1965 and appeared on a number of top 40 records while with the band, plenty of top 10 hits and 4 #1 singles: Sherry, Big Girls Don't Cry, Walk Like a Man, and Ragdoll. And let's not forget the Christmas classic, Santa Claus is Coming to Town, and I Saw Mommy Kissing Santa Claus. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed the interview. You may have to excuse some of the editing, as I wanted to keep this interview on a positive note. So there were a few parts that were eliminated from the original interview. Questions, comments, most welcome, and a thumbs up would be much appreciated. Thank you. Wishing you all a very, very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.
Yeah, James, I'll have to let you know what's